Everybody, morning. We've got Robin, Hugh, and Will, and Swinburne, Jerry, David, Sergio, Craig, Kevin, Frank, Arturo, Sledge. Good to see you this morning, my man. Al, Mad, Dan, Don. Welcome, everybody. Aki, Gary, Ted, Cliff. If anybody sees that, if Erdy pops on here, make sure somebody tells him that I am not on Telegram. I saw that message after, like I was reading the chat afterward. I was like, uh-oh. And anyway, got the S&P here. 15-minute bounce. I guess yesterday he was looking for me to be on Telegram, talking to somebody on Telegram purporting to be me. Well, guess what? That's not me. So right now, 62.96, 63.06. And hey, Gustavo. Good to see you as always. And we have this fib line right up here, 63.64, 63.65. Hey, Erdy. There you go. I am not on Telegram, my man. I got kicked off Telegram in the early days of being a guru. So imagine that. With all the scams, somebody that now the company has the right to use my name, image, and likeness on Telegram, but they're not going to personally message anybody. They run a channel in my name and whatever, but so my publisher does run a Telegram, so it doesn't matter. I can't do anything. Telegram has me banned. They think I'm a scammer. So funny enough, others, actual scammers, I guess spammer is what they said. They thought I was a spammer, a platform spammer. Anyway, somebody reported me, one of my lovely followers, and in the early days when I was new at this, and that's kind of awesome. Somebody was mad at me. Didn't do content creating the way they wanted me to do content creating. So I work harder at being better at this. So something is correlated to the dollar. Positive correlation. Check this out. Usually we have little to no correlation to the dollar, but right now we actually have, zero would be no correlation to the dollar between equities, treasuries, and the dollar. So we have SPY versus TLT, SPY versus UUP, and TLT kind of averaged together. And actually we're pulling into a positive correlation for the first time that's back to 08. So since the great financial crisis, the first time that equities, treasuries, and the dollar have all been positively correlated. That's an interesting... Yeah, the Telegram ban. It's at least 2 years, if not. Like, it was right after I started. I don't know. I had to move off of it because of the ban. Yeah. I started Discord the first year because of the ban. So, yeah, 2021. Yeah, I don't ask for anybody's money. I don't trade for anybody. So, anyway. First time we've had positive correlations to the dollar. Now, what does that mean? It means that the stock market, treasuries, and the dollar are all going to move together in the same direction. That's what positive correlation means. All right. Negative correlation means they move opposite each other. A lot of people think dollar drops, stock market pops. That's been a common saying. I've heard that ever since I started trading. But at the peak, we were only 0.3 negative correlation. It's not like even a 1-to-1 or anything like that. Not even very strong negatively. It does kind of tend to hang negative, but right now we're in a positive correlation. So Bitcoin not on this. Doesn't matter at all right now. Now, bonus topic for today. A little bit difficult to understand here, but the implied volatility, daily implied volatility for looking out into July. So this is starting, we're on the 8th. So yesterday, 7th, 8th right here. Looking out in here, we have CPI here, we have FOMC. They're only pricing about a 1% move. Interesting right here, right at the OPEX, I think that is 21st. Yeah, it's right at the VIX OPEX, I do believe. A 1% move priced in right there. That's interesting. And then right to the end of the month. So not a lot of volatility priced in right here. Tariff updates, we kind of got that yesterday. Created a dip back down to the S&P 500 15-minute roadmap line. Bounce. We'll probably take it up to a new high again. Maybe that's the top. Maybe we hit that 63, 64, 63, 65 area. We'll see what happens. Could push it on up to the 1272. So this is the implied volatility looking out for 2 months. The market, market makers, however you want to look at it, not really pricing in giant moves coming down the pipe. Now, although we do have some volatility out here. Volatility priced in, like that's the biggest volatility priced in. August 18th out there. Go look at the calendar again. Jump down to August 18th, right there. That's after the that would be off after the OPEX. So that's what that is too. Like that's OPEX and then volatility. So that's the main monthly OPEX for July, and then volatility priced in right there. And then we have the same thing in August. Interesting enough. Wild. All right, moving on. Moving on. How do we make money today? I guess we should start here. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. If you do this thing we do called trading, you might lose money. All right. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. Just because I get things right doesn't mean I'll keep doing that. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't trade them. You might lose money. If you want somebody to tell you what to do, that's not me. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to trade for you. I'm just a guy that kind of provides examples. And speaking of examples, check this out. Here's all-time 7K, 7.6. Look, they fixed the logos. That's kind of cool. I pinged them on Discord. I was like, hey, when I trade options on Robinhood, it doesn't pull in the company logos, and they fixed it. So that was kind of cool. So if you got a problem with K-Info, just go talk to them on Discord, and they tend to fix it. Interestingly enough, it shows I took a couple losses, I think, in here. Is this pulling? It's not pulling all my info. There it is. Right here. There we go. Updated numbers. It shows these are losses right here, but when you actually look at it, there's no loss. That was where I got called out, and $0 on the shares. But I made money on the calls right there. All-time history. Yeah, the 1 year, 8K. There we go. That's the number I was looking for. 8K. 8K booked profits right there year to date. Nice. Look at the profit chart. There you go. That's all-time history. Goes back to 20. That's just this year. All-time. All the way back to 2018. And there you go. Consistency. I feel like that's consistent. I don't know. You let me know. We're almost to the 3-month mark. We got a few more days here. I think the 16th was the first day I booked profit. $22. So we got 8 more days, and we'll be at our 3-month mark. on the challenge. $8,000 in 3 months. That's not too bad. And as I showed off yesterday, the actual account up 16 grand. Got a bunch of open profit in Rocket Lab. So we're looking for S&P to break out. Go ripping right up here. I created a new list here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Cool, it didn't load it. Let's see, save, reload, reload. Potentially bullish list. Let's put that. Check this out. So this is my list of potentially bullish tickers. And I change this list almost daily. So if you want to know what to use, if you're trying to use this 50K challenge method, I call it the turbo. If you go Google it, a lot of people call it the wheel. But I'm taking a step further since I actually know how to kind of predict stock moves. Maybe sometimes I get it right. So I've been tracking these potentially bullish tickers to trade with the 50K challenge and the wheel strategy. I kind of call it right now. I've been calling it the turbo wheel. Several of you have suggested different names for it. You know, the rocket wheel. I don't know. It's definitely not your average wheel strategy because I'm taking these potentially bullish tickers here and applying, you know, the wheel. So it's kind of like right here. We're hanging out. A little bit of pullback here. Sold the 39. So I've sold 39. I'm not going to make more than $39 a share if this gets called out on Friday. On Friday. But there you go. That was a bounce on a 1 hour chart. I think it was. Yeah, 1 hour bounce. Right up in the target. I was already bullish on the daily chart. We did this big 1 hour bounce. I was aggressively selling puts, had the 1 hour bounce, and we shot up to the target. Now I'm aggressively selling selling calls at these target levels. Could it go higher? Sure. Am I going to be sad I miss out on a few bucks on the upside? No. I'm up like 8 grand on this position. So it's not going to be, it's going to be a good time when I book out the profit. Now, I forgot to add this one to the list. That was not on the list. DJT. This one I've talked about, potentially bullish. Look at that, up to 19 already today in the pre-market. PFE, potentially bullish. Breaking through the roadmap line. MRK, potentially bullish, but not coming up off the lows yet. Need this one to get moving. Nike, look at that move. I mean, that we will probably come back down to touch the roadmap line. Right there. UAL, potential measure bounce. We're looking for big targets up here, 200. Celsius, these are in no particular order, by the way. Celsius probably hitting resistance. We may get that pullback. This would be an opportunity to attack again if and when we get that rollover. We may be set for a move on up here into the 100 area. That would be pretty spicy, going from 33 to 100. It's like a 3x your money right there. Rocket Lab, keep talking about that. We could have further upside, 55. I sell it at 39. I might wait for a pullback before I attack it again. This is that target oval. Should be careful. DocU. Now there's the big picture potential down and down. We could come down here. It could, but right now we have held. This could potentially be done. This could potentially be a bullish. Holding the higher low. Potentially sets that up for big upside. I hold shares and I've been selling some puts. Delta, been no stranger here. We have that potential 110 area. GES. Talked about this one, potentially big measured bounce. We could see a move up into the 100. This is almost a 10xer right here. If you bought the shares back at $10 when I was buying them, you might be able to catch a 10x right there. Be a wild ride. WBD might have bottomed out finally. Has support here and here. Trying to break through. Potentially bullish. We could see this recover quite a bit. CC, this is an interesting one right here. This one got beat down. They provide data center cooling. We are building more and more data centers, right? They provide data center cooling more aggressive than just air cooling. They actually provide what they call phase 2 or 2-phase data center cooling. That could become something like a $50 billion a year business. And these guys have like 50% market share in that industry right now. So we could see this come up to 100. It's another potential 8, 9, 10xer. Not bad. I haven't attacked that yet because, you know, not the best chart pattern going that deep, but maybe we're just on non-log mode. That is higher, low, but it needs to get its crap together here. Lulu, this one's got further downside. The support for me down around 150. So still bearish right now, but we're getting near support. INSM. I forget the numbers on this. This has a potential. It probably pull back to the roadmap line around 56, and then potential to pop back to all-time highs here. When pop back on. When working on that breakout, look, we're pushing into that, pushing through the initial breakout indication. We'll have another one just above it. Target up here like 200 probably. Go back to the log scale. Yeah, right around 200. Nice potential upside here. And that, if we get really bullish, we could be up at 300. 300. That's a 3xer. Love potentially bottomed out here. Tag my targets. Break through the roadmap line. We could see this upside 50, 60 bucks. SMR. Bye, Kimberly. Yeah, 30 minutes of awesome this evening. Also, I have an Elliott Wave. There's an Elliott Wave event run by a third party coming up at noon. I will be speaking, but it's going all day. So if you want, if you're not good at Elliott Wave, you're not sure about Elliott Wave, you want to know more about Elliott Wave, lots of Elliott Wave speakers going on today at this event. It's put on by my friend Jody. She invited me to come talk. So I'll try to get the link copied out. Let me grab that. You have to register for it. Here's the link in the chat. Remember, 30 minutes of awesome coming up at 5 p.m. also. So there you go. New scale. This still has potential upside. Even though we're at target, I do expect a retrace to the roadmap line. But then we have bigger upside. MO. This one's consolidating. The breakout can take this one up to 70 to 80. Not a big mover, 60 to 80, but bullish nonetheless. Wingstop. Support right down here at the roadmap line. And then upside. Pretty big, fat upside. 465 right now. Sirius XM might have bottomed out, finally. Keeping an eye on this one. Let's see, we did a This is done reverse split, so be careful. That's on my crap list, but potential pullback back here. Measured bounce. Get the highest high in there. Potential measured bounce. So grab that low, grab that high, grab that low. It would be absolute crazy, but that would be like the upside potential right here. So some people have been asking me for, JT, what are your where are these measured bounces? What are the bullish ones you're watching? Not chasing necessarily. APLD. Nice pullback. Could come back down to the roadmap line. Then we're looking for the next extension. Same thing as always. 16, 17, 18. And if that doesn't measure bounce, which is this one could be a rocket ship. All right. I don't find these very often, but look, if this pulls back to the roadmap right now, holds right there at the 618, that sets up what I call the rocket ship pattern. Now, it may or may not work out. They're not high probability necessarily. When they work out, they make big money. It's like what happened with Shopify a couple of years ago when I made 15,000%. That could be up here 22, 23, maybe 30. Right there, BA. I do expect this to pull back, potentially back down in here. Once it's done doing this, now it doesn't have to, it can just keep ripping. Once we do that, we set up like a 400 target. 350, 400 potential on the expansion. Nice and bullish there. So that's the list of potentially bullish tickers right now. So hopefully that's helpful for people kind of looking at what I'm most bullish on. Now, some of those could have significant pullbacks on their bullish path. So you got to have time frame and perspective. They're not all like buy it today situations. It's just my list. And I keep adding to that list and modifying it. And I actually built it. I've got it written on a piece of paper and I actually put it in the TradingView today. So I've been keeping track of these on paper. It's just kind of pencil and paper. That's kind of the way I operate. I actually have a secondary platform I've been putting them in. So, alrighty, S&P, like we were talking about, 15-minute roadmap bounce. It's pretty classic, beautiful potential right there yesterday. We are not above the 618, and we do have a gap down. So this has got a couple things working against it here right now. We could make a second move down, but we want to see this pop on up. Target's up here, and that bigger target right up there at the 1618. That may be it. Like if we pop up there and hit that, we could get a bigger, more significant pullback in the market. Keep a clear head about you. Look at this. This is the S&P 500 futures. Beautiful. Look at this. First move down, retrace to the 618. Second move down. Beautiful correction. Very proportional. Look how beautiful this is. Right there. Just slight extension. All the things I look for. Almost tagged the 1272. Beautiful. Potentially complete correction right there. Beautiful. Absolutely. A-B correction right there. Absolutely beautiful. And ABC. Absolutely beautiful correction. So this right here hanging at the 15-minute. If we can break back through. Be looking for 63.45. 63.56, possibly 63.87 as our upsides on the futures right there. Doesn't mean we're breaking out today. We may go down for a 618 retrace of this initial move up. We'll look at that my bias for the day here at the end, but that might be what we're going to do right there. In Q, same kind of beautiful ABC, absolutely beautiful correction right there, ABC. And if we can hold a 618 retrace, if that's what we're going to do, looking for that bigger upside potential, that 23.5 or 23, yeah, look at that 23.3, look at that 1618 and that bigger 1.1448 lined up together right there. Beautiful. Russell still messing around here. We could get spicy to the downside here. This is one to keep an eye on. I expect this to come back to the roadmap line, and we'll see what happens then. Do we bounce or do we go crushing down? I'm out to September with protection. Portfolio protection may not pay out if we don't get a crush, but something falls apart, the wheels come off. Russell is set up for the most bearish of the three indexes right now. People are like, why don't you play a bearish position on SPX? It's because it's set to go higher right now. You can get in cheaper later on. Russell, not set to go higher right now. It's already hit the resistance right here. I played it to the middle. We went just a little bit higher. This has a potentially bearish pattern. CL. And so when we talk about the potentially bullish pattern, it's stuff we can sell puts on, not just crypto and crap like that. I'm not, crypto probably doesn't make the cut. All right, looking for high quality stuff, higher quality stuff. It's a whole thing. If you want to know the full details why I'm looking for what I'm looking for, 50K challenge and Term Art Trading Lab, we discuss it pretty ad nauseum. It's bigger cap companies can't really go with small stuff as much. A couple things filter through if they're better opportunities, but crypto's crypto, and it doesn't really have a place in the 50K challenge account. It's a little bit... Go back to my opinion on crypto. Any money you put in crypto, whether it be a miner, stock, or anything else, that should be money that you're willing to take out back, put it in your fire pit, and light it on fire. Even in miner stocks. Like, people may not have that opinion. You may be like, well, why would I ever trade crypto with you? That's the risk that is crypto. Like, the whole thing could be hacked tomorrow. It all come apart. Everything loses money. I mean, it's the riskiest freaking thing out there. That's the way I look at it. Any money that's in crypto, you better be willing to just light that money on fire. Like, yes, I have $150,000 of my family's money tied up in miners. Maybe more than that when you consider BT, and Riot and all the other things. But it's all money that I'm okay with evaporating. I'll make it back for my family if we lose money. CL, grinding right here. Potential bullish, potential bearish. Downside target 50, upside target 90 and 100. GC, potentially bearish, back down to the roadmap line. Bitcoin, potentially about to break out. Really kind of like, when I talk about I really don't like a pattern, I kind of like this pattern right here. We're winding it up here. Coiling it up, may coil up for another few days. You know, this potential pop up into the $120,000 to $130,000 area. Things are going to get really spicy if we do that. ETH, not nearly as pretty right here. This is just sitting in this. Trying to break out, trying to break down. Doesn't give me that warm, fuzzy feeling. This pullback right here only supports a marginal move higher to about 3,000. I was hopeful we would get something deeper down here to this 618, which could set up the potential rip back to highs. I mean, if we got something down to a 618, we could support a bigger move, like 4,000. And this may be the first move down, the retrace, and we get the second move down into that 618. Then we get the bigger pop. That'd be really nice. But right now, this doesn't give me that warm, fuzzy butterfly feeling in the tummy right there. And it's crypto. Might as well take it up back, light it on fire. If we can break out here on NKD, we may see this take everything higher, including crypto. Dollar started out being like, remember, we're inside a kind of a positive correlation here between, even though this has been down while we're rallying higher, this is actually in a positive correlation here. This is probably coming back up here. So be careful out there. Apple bouncing off the roadmap line is not bullish. I've been warning. First move down, second move down. We might spike that 618. Might get a little pullback, retest this, spike up here to the 618 before we roll on down. Right there. Amazon, same situation, except we've pushed up to the top of the resistance. First move down, second move down. Now, if we can clear our error breakout here above 230, tips the odds we're going on up, similar to Microsoft and NVIDIA. Google, grinding this area pretty hard. First move down, second move down, 120 downside. Meta came up, popped up, hit the top, slightly higher high. I think this is a first move down, second move down potential. That might go lower low even than back here. If you wrote it up, might be time to book profits, unless you want to ride back down to 400. It could be a 50% correction again. Microsoft, book and or protect. Microsoft grinding these targets, 508 on the log scale, maybe. That was a beautiful first move down, second move down, 1272, ABC, absolutely beautiful correction. That did the bullish continuation. Now, be careful. Can it extend? Sure. Can it correct all the way back down to the roadmap line? Absolutely. Can it retest the breakout? Absolutely. It can, moves over for now. High probability move over. NVIDIA hasn't hit the upside target yet. 164, 176. Be careful. That can roll. That needs another big correction before we make another substantial move higher. Tesla. So we didn't quite complete the ABC. All right, we got the first move down. We've got this retrace. It went a little deeper than the 618. Came back down. We could bottom right here. All right. This could be what they call a running flat correction, running flat that holds a higher, truncates the low. We don't actually push down. I still hold that we may push down to 270, but it might actually truncate. We do have earnings coming up out here later in the month, another 2 weeks. And then upside potential. Now, if we break down below support, down below 250, might be setting up a bigger first move down, second move down. Right, that risk does sit out here on the charts. Could push us down to 150, even down to 100 down here. So first move down, second move down. Be careful here. I am long Tesla. I'm long leverage Tesla. I'm long Tesla. So long Tesla shares, long Tesla. Expecting a pop. All right. We pulled up the gainers list. This thing's moving $2 more up. GE Veranova, potentially bullish. I do expect a pullback here. 638. 11. This may be that absolutely beautiful correction setup. First move down, retrace. We're holding, treading water below. If we get below that roadmap line, that's your warning. If we hold the roadmap line, potential 602. Korea Bulls again, coming back up. Might go to 102. Like that was potentially enough correction here to set up the next move higher. 102, 105, somewhere in that top of the box there. Been topping out up here. Could stall out at 97. Triple top there. This is 3x leverage. Be careful on leverage, as always. India. Biotech. Biotech med specialty. Reverse split. Reverse split. Danger, danger, danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Dumpster fire. Let's see. Shenanigans, financial. Not sure I'd put my money in anything that even was close to having the name Shenanigans. Yeah, it looks like we're at targets. Oracle cruising on up. 270 on next upside. That was potentially bullish, but I do expect a big pullback. BMNR, Bitmine, Emergent Technology. This one's being ridiculous. When ridiculous finishes playing out, we'll get a big correction. Reverse split. Another dumpster fire. WW. Excuse me. This is Weight Watchers International, right? Weight Watchers. Pretty sure. Maybe not. Yeah. Weight Watchers. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Anyway. Yeah, I'm be careful. Be careful. I don't care what the news is. New chief medical officer. They're trying to get into the Ozempic prescription game. Maybe that's the bottom. That was the lowest low. We can't really, like, this fib doesn't really mean anything. You need all your, like, once you make the lowest low on a chart, all this doesn't matter anymore. All you can focus on is this. You've got to move up, a retrace, and a giant pop. And may do that, and then retrace. So, but it's difficult at this point to make any kind of extrapolation because you have limited price action off the lows. I mean, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles on the weekly. Jump down to the daily, you got like roughly 25 candles up off the lows, and it's just not, just doesn't present you with any, we're already beyond reasonable extension for that kind of, that little pullback we did. So be careful. This can pull all the way back down in here, back in the single digits before it makes another move. It could be crazy, could not be crazy. I don't know. Like, this is just wild price action. You look at the not log mode. It went from down in the pennies, penny stock territory up to 45. So looks very bubble pattern-esque. Mini bubble patterns we see come back down pretty hard. So that's my warning. to you at this point. FUTU, potential 139. LEU, potential coming back down. FLUT, potential coming back down despite being on the bullish list. BRT, potential bounce back off the roadmap line. We did set up the potential breakout here. 170 upside target. Might take a little while to get there. BSGM, another biotech pharma. Med specialty, probably going to come back down. IONX, that's a dangerous pattern. We break back down. Leverage on IONQ. AMD, watch for this. There's another one I'm potentially bullish on, but I'm looking for this retrace back down in this 100, 115 area. And then big upside potential. BABA, potentially bearish. First move down, second move down. Looking for something down in 80. SE, watch for the retrace to the roadmap line. ARQQ, watch for the retrace to the roadmap line. Decliners, BGL. Well, we talked about that coming back down. Look at that. That went from 160 yesterday down to 50 today. So lost 60% of its value. Or I guess not yesterday, but that was Thursday. Lost 60% of its value since last week. Ouch. Probably coming back on down. Game over. That one's played out. FSLR. Despite the pop yesterday, this could be, maybe that's an ABC. Maybe that's the A, B, yeah, we got a C. Be careful. There's potential that solar projects get pulled forward, but economic-wise, stock market-wise, those things don't always match. So just because they do more business and get more projects pulled forward doesn't mean that the stock actually will perform bullish. Might actually push down here. Be careful. Circle. Probably going to do our bubble pattern consolidation and break back down. If you've not seen that before, check this out right here. Right here. We get this euphoria and optimism. Then we get this chop. And then we break down. And you might be angry or panicked or in denial. Maybe some depression and disbelief. So be careful. When you see these go exponential, it's time to, that's why I always talk about it. It's time to think about booking your profit. When you're sitting there dreaming about how much money you're going to have and how life's going to be easy, it's time to book that profit right there. Time to consider GTFO. You want to brag to everybody about how good that stock's doing, get everybody in it, get all your friends on board. That's the one I expect right there. Downside. Be careful on circle. DDOG, I'm potentially bullish here. We did a big picture measure bounce, 220. I'm not really trading it, but potentially bullish there. JPM played out. Watch for the retrace back to the roadmap line. We do have earnings coming up next week. A week from today. CIEN. Grinding the roadmap line. Potential to break higher here. There's the high. Here's the low. Grinding on that 618. If we can get through, 108 on the upside. Shake Shack. Shake a Shack. Bullish pattern there. 150 target. PTHS. Not enough. Oh my goodness. Reverse split. Garbage. Just don't mess with this stuff. Like, just don't. Don't mess with that stuff. SCDG. Solar Edge. Like I said. Wow, look at that. Ramp up, gap down. Ramp up, gap down. That's like almost the bubble pattern playing out. Ramp up. Okay, so if this is done it once, twice. What do you expect for the third time? Gap back down. Maybe a higher low, but watch out. Now, if it does gap down, that'd be an opportunity. Grab it again. NEE. Grind on the roadmap line. FAS. If you're in it, be careful. We do have the earnings catalyst coming up next week. There's potential still for the upside, but you got to ride it back down to get the next bounce. NXT. That's played out. Be careful. CoreWeave. Working on that buyout of Core Scientific and looks very bubbly, effervescent. Might come back into the 50, 60, 70 area. All right, stuff that was actually set up for an entry potential today on my pattern, my signature breakout pattern. This one has no history. This high, this low. Set it up right there. 1278 target. FRO. Again. There's our statistics. Here's the high. Here's the low. There's the entry. Today, 2034 target. Not bad on that one. That's pretty standard right there. Geo. Let's just clear that off. Here we've got a high. Here we've got a low. Didn't quite make that move. This smaller move. There was the close above yesterday, even though it was red bullet bearish. 2860. Not keen on the profit factor on that one at all. Soundhound AI. Well, that already probably hit the target today. Bigger potential bounce. There's your bubble playing out right there. Look, bubble pattern. Chop in here. Chopped a little lower than normal. All the way back down. Right there. I mean, that went from 26 back down to 6. Ouch. But this one might be setting up for a run again. Yeah, it's already at target, so that one played out overnight. Boom. It didn't give me a chance to really get in. Team. And here's the high, here's the low. And I don't like that pattern, but maybe 246. I don't like the down trend of the roadmap line. That's trend pullback continuation. That potentially pullback and continuation lower is the reason I don't like that. Doesn't mean it won't work out. I'd wait for the bigger potential for 529 there, but there you go. That's the list for today. Not a lot. Just a few tickers on there today. So S&P 500. Jump back down. Check it out. We're looking for that 618 retrace to hold. Right here. Looking for this retest. 62.15. I want to see that hold in that vicinity. It can go deeper. It can go all the way down to 62.10 and be just fine. I want to see that vicinity hold, get the move up through 62.53, and then we can look for those new all-time high targets up there. And probably continue the path to 63.64. That's the list for today. Love me bye. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Remember, come join me today. I would love to have you at my Elliott Wave talk at noon. Link in the description, or link in the chat here. I'll put it in there one more time. We do have the 30 minutes of awesome at 5. I'm on the profit panel show at 11. I'm gonna be live a lot today. Live now, live at 11, live at 12, live at 5. Come hang out with me. I've got lots of live events today. I'll be talking about all sorts of things. I'll be talking about Elliott Wave stuff at noon. So, otherwise, have a great day. Be careful out there. The money you save might be your own. Thanks for watching.